Happy Friday, everybody. I am hopefully packing up to get out of here. Just thought I'd shoot a quick clip before I did. Because one thing I'm going to try to do, or going to try to start up, is just a basic Q&A. A lot of you have asked for it. A lot of you ask questions, and I can't answer every single one of them. And that is something that's gotten worse in 2025. So for 2026, I am going to try to at least answer the questions that I'll say aren't fully video worthy. I can tell already I should have grabbed a camera stand because my arm's going to get tired here. But yeah, I was just going to go through some of them that came in the last week. And so the first one here is good stuff. Have you done anything with the Micro 850 870s RAPWM 100 kilohertz user-defined function block? I really did not know that existed. Good grief, why did I not clean up before this? Well, folks, you know exactly what it looks like in an off week here. We're doing projects and all types of fun stuff. I did not know that existed. Actually, the 100 kilohertz kind of gets me because I didn't think it would go that high. So I will have to look that up. I got to understand, we have videos on doing pulse width modulation with the Micro 850. So I'm gonna have to understand what's different about this user-defined function block, whether that's how they give it a little more oomph or what exactly they're doing there. All right, next thing and one thing about answering questions, because that's probably been the biggest gripe this year is, I'm not made it all of them. Here's one from a member, and yes, if you're a member, you definitely get your questions answered, but this is from Miguel, and Miguel's just saying, yeah, I need to be one of those people that understands binary. And it is an important part. And don't worry, we have lessons for that. There was some really good feedback on my meter video, or not meter video, my meter post. And sometimes I post a picture just to kind of see what y'all think. Not that I'm like, oh, what do you think of my meters? It's, hey, what deficiencies are, things are we not covering well? And I thought it was a really good video because I keep saying video. Apparently, I need to make some videos on it. But one, there was no right answer to what's your favorite meter because just like you have 10 screwdrivers in your drawer, chances are you need 10 meters or maybe 5 or 6 at least, depending on what you're doing. And that was probably the best answer. But the one big hole that I saw that I probably should try to do something with is data logging. So Fluke Connect, there is a app for it, and I think it can do some. Also, I don't have a real data logging meter, so that might be something I look and see if I can find. We're talking about pulse width modulation over there and pointing like you can see that far. But over here, we got some encoder simulators. What does an encoder signal look like on, when it's, what do the channels look like? The little square waves and the little square waves. Yeah, I guess they are little square waves, or what's a resolver look like compared to it? Or if we get into 3-phase power, what does that look like? So these would be good ones that I'm probably going to look at. Oh man, I tell you what, I definitely hit a nerve with a lot of you on the whole idea of simulators. And what's kind of funny is, I really didn't mean to. Well, yeah, I guess I did mean to. I can't lie. But it was definitely one of those that there was a clear dividing line among you on it. Is a lot of you are like, heck yeah, let's get these simulators out of the school and put some hardware in front of these folks. And a lot of you, I got to admit, one guy, how dare you tell these students that they're not going to get a job when they get out of school? I'm just being honest. What can we spin that around? Can we say, how dare you, school, graduate them and not ever let them touch hardware? I think that was probably the better comment. But yeah, I wasn't trying to put down students in that because a lot of you were, you're like, well, you're just discouraged some of these students. Well, no, and maybe they'll go back and talk to the instructor. It's all I can hope. But all I can tell you is, if you don't touch any hardware, you are going to struggle. And I think a lot of you, told stories in the comments, which, I think there were like 200 comments between LinkedIn and YouTube and all the other little social thingies. So, I'm not going to go through all of them. But, a lot of you told some great stories about, really unfortunate situations where, someone had the book knowledge, but, just, didn't have that, that real world experience to pick it up and end up, being laid off or having a project failure. There were a couple of them that were just totally bizarre. One of them was, well, if you're in a real design role, then, oh man, I should have definitely, yeah, I got to get a camera stand. Oh, look, here's a short camera stand. Let's do that. That way I can, there you go. I'll just sit and talk to you from the rest of this. There we go. But, one of them was like, if you're in a real, high-end design role, then chances are you'll be fine without learning hardware. And I'm like, how can we even think that? I mean, I talk more people through how to, somebody will be like, hey, I ordered all these sensors and I can't make any of them work. And we'll talk through it. And they ordered NPN sensors instead of PNP sensors. Or they're like, I'm pressing my button and there's my input light's not coming on my PLC. And I'm like, well, what do you have wired to the other side of the button? They're like, well, nothing. I mean, so you can't tell me that we don't need to put at least a little hardware in front of it. And actually, I'm going to push really hard back on, especially those, they're in the design roles. The mistakes you can make can be so costly in those design roles. And what I wish some of you out there that are like, way in the industry would think back to is those folks that, had some type of project failure and we never saw them again. I mean, if we could, work alongside with them a little bit more and kind of expose them to what they're going to see on the field a little more, I just think that would be better off. There was one really good push from several people on simulators, and I agree with. One person, I'm not going to remember names, said that at their school they have panic robots. Well, it's an expensive robot to crash. So before they will let you actually program the robot, you have to prove out that you can do it in simulation first, and then they let you. I thought that was a really good example of where it was really good. Another push, and I would love for this push to come true, but at the same time, I know it can't fully come true. So, and I still say it's not an excuse, was internships. If we could get students into internships, then that would expose them to a lot more hardware. And I will agree with you on that. Now, I still do not think that's an excuse for a school having zero hardware that they're exposed to. That's not an excuse for that, but that is a great opportunity. The issue is, there are not nearly enough companies right now that are willing to accept interns, and that's probably video worthy there. I had to roll back over here so I could see the comments. Two other kind of along that line is one, a couple of y'all pushed on Logix Pro being a solution to that. That's not a solution. Now, Logix Pro is really cool. It's been around a long time. I mean, gosh, I think it may have been around maybe in the late 90s. There's a lot of good applications in it. A lot of, we'll say, things to kind of make you think through how to do logic, but that's still not the same as not, being able to get an input to light up because you don't know, how to wire a circuit, what the difference between syncing and sourcing is. And then a lot of you are like, well, that's more of an electrical thing. Well, we end up having to do it all out there. I mean, the same person that is supposedly writing the PLC program may be specing the hydraulic pump on the system, so we gotta, that's not an excuse there. The other one was kind of like, what was, someone really pushed that it wasn't a matter of that we shouldn't use simulators, that we needed better simulators, that we needed to start simulating the hardware better, and we need to start simulating full plants better, and we need to start simulating, simulators for the simulators. And I'm kind of like, nah, can't go there with you. That's the hardest part for some folks. I mean, you need to know what the inside of a control panel looks like. When I get it, we have electricians for that. It doesn't matter. Your head's going to end up in a panel. You've got to understand some of the real world stuff there. And then the other one, where was that other one? I'm trying to remember, try to group them all together. I'll have to come back to that one if it pops out at me. But There were back to the meter one. There were several funny ones. I asked, what's your favorite meter, and yeah, one of you put about 3 feet. That was pretty good. Another you put the location of the official meter over in France. That one made me laugh too. Let's see. On SMC Flexes, how do you do the data links to a Micro 850E? Now, I would assume that you do them nearly the same as you do to a PowerFlex 525, and we do have a video on that. I don't have an SMC Flex here, so I don't have anything like that. But yeah, parameters 88 through 103 should have those, which I did drop in the comment for you there. Yeah, talk about another video that surfaces its ugly face from time to time. And hopefully, I really wasn't trying to be, yes, I can't lie. I was trying to attack people that thought simulators were good enough. Another one that I did, and this one I had just gotten royally roasted on the internet over teaching ladder logic, and instead of teaching people that it was obsolete and not to learn it, that I did put out a video that I was probably way too aggressive on about why you should learn ladder logic. And, kind of go into that. I don't think I could ever put it on enough videos on this. Is people ask all the time, what language should I learn? 100%, the first language you should learn is ladder logic. It has nothing to do with being the best language. It has to do with, it's the language that you're going to run into the most often out in the field. But yeah, I had actually two on the same video, especially if two people are on polar opposite sides of this. This is where I end up having to delete replies half the time. But one of the guys was like, yeah, most of my equipment is 30 to 50 years old. Understanding obsolete equipment is a necessity of my position. And so, that's kind of my thing, is it's not about which language is the best, it's which one's going to give you the most marketable job skills. And another guy, was kind of like, well, fine, but can you at least teach some structured text? That way, when they're working on my advanced programs, they can understand it. Well, no, probably not. I'm pretty basic. And since you write more advanced programs, you could probably put decent enough documentation in there and we wouldn't need to do any of that. Now, I am going to teach some structured text. We're actually re-rolling out our Studio 5000, doing some updates on it. And that is one big thing we'll do, is a Rosetta Stone exercise that we do in the training center on it. We're still working on, I got some really good input on diagnosing safety modules. Still didn't quite nail that down. I think there's a few deficiencies that I've got to figure out how to work out. But yeah, thank y'all very much for your feedback on my safety video. Let's see, clamp on, clap off, the clamper. I think someone really did like the clamp meter. So that was another kind of funny one there. What 3D printing software do I use? Well, it's kind of one of those things. Michael has definitely got the mechanical knack, way more than I do, my son, if you didn't know who Michael was. And so as he picks things up, I quickly forget how to do them. So when he was in like the 3rd grade, I used Cura. And I had to ask him. He uses Orca Flash Forge. I have no idea what that is. That is, anymore. I'm like, hey, I drew this sketch, make it. And yeah, that is an awesome part. He's really coming along in his school. But yeah, I think that is about all of them for this week that I didn't have at least a video for. But let me know what you think about this. Is this worthwhile to just hop on? I don't know if it's once a week thing, or maybe just once a month, or I don't know. But hop on and kind of be like, hey, let me answer some of your questions. Have a great weekend.